Oh, man, come on, get it. Hurry. Oh, damn, what is this? What is going on? Just go back. Yeah, that's more like it. This is the Short Sports Show with your host, Daniel Short. Oh, really? That's what I'm going to get? Welcome to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is Wednesday, September 14th, 2016, and boy, do we got a great show for you guys. Lots of news to talk about, lots of games to recap for both college football and obviously week one of the NFL. We also, two main topics we're going to talk about the show that I'm really excited for. We're going to talk about on the college football side of it. Are we, as media, as fans, are we putting too much pressure on Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson? He's off to a very rough start. Now, the team is 2-0, but me personally, I had him as a Heisman winner. Right now, he's not really looking like a Heisman. So we're going to be talking about that as well. On the NFL side, is RG3's career over? I have two coaches who say they believe so. I also interviewed Michael Orakpo of InnerGrind, of course, a sponsor of the show, talking about him and seeing how the process has been with his company growing now in his own facility in the Houston, Texas area. So be sure to check that out here in a little bit on the show. Also talked to Joe Vazzelli of the Columbia Daily Tribune, talking about the Missouri Tigers and their season. Also some other college football news and as well as some NFL picks. So again, a lot of things to talk about. But before we get started, got a new advertiser on the show. And that is Tongue FM. Now, Tongue FM, it's a podcast player designed to help you discover the best podcast. With Tongue, you get a feed of what your friends are recommending. Also, you can share clips of the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and other social media outlets. You can comment on the episodes, mention friends so they can get a notification to what you're listening to. And really, it's about time we find a podcast app where you could find out about all the great podcasts out there, without relying on iTunes reviews and, some people just putting in fake reviews, all the other stuff. Tongue also includes a standard podcast player features like getting notifications for subscribed episodes, the ability to download episodes for offline playback, and also some variable playback speeds. That's Tongue FM. That's TUNG.FM or search Tongue FM in the App Store. So go check them out. Already downloaded, and it's a pretty nice app, guys. It's a pretty nice app for podcast listeners out there. Of course, like always, we're gonna start with some college football news, and we're gonna have some quick hits. That's where we kind of just rapid fire talk about some things. Now the Big 12 and the Mid-American Conferences both announced Sunday that the officiating and instant replay crews who worked the Central Michigan Oklahoma State game have been suspended for 2 games. Now the MAC suspended the 8 officials who worked the game on Saturday after they wrongly awarded Central Michigan an extra play after time had expired. We already know what happened. And with Central Michigan getting the W over Oklahoma State. Now, the one thing that shocks me is this was a non-conference game, of course, and it was a home game for Oklahoma State. Why did Oklahoma State have non-Big 12 officiating crew, on the field officiating crew? I maybe it's brand new to me, but I really thought that every home team, when it's a non-conference game, they get their respected conference officials. I didn't know that they didn't. And Oklahoma State football head coach Mike Gundy said on Monday that he would be against playing a non-conference home game without a Big 12 officiating crew again. He says it's not going to happen anymore. It's Big 12 officials at every home game for non-conference games. And obviously for conference games as well. I thought it was already like that. Obviously not. And, the crew made a bad call. Now the Big 12, they suspended their 2-man instant replay crew for 2 games and will not allow that group to work in a bowl game this season. So, I guess it's the right punishment for it because they should have known. But yeah. An interesting, the Arizona State Texas Tech game was a really fun game to watch. Of course, I didn't watch it because I wasn't going to stay up that late to watch the game, but I did watch the recap of it on YouTube. Thankfully, there are some amazing people who actually upload the full game on YouTube, like multiple. And, if you got Real Downloader, which I'm not sponsored by them at all, which would be awesome, but, if you get that on your computer, then you can, which is completely free. It's safe. I promise you. It's not like LimeWire back in the day. Real Downloader, it's Real Player, whatever. You download that, and then you can start downloading YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I have like full games from like TCU back from like 2010 on my computer. I got them on a hard drive. It's pretty awesome. But anyways, Arizona State running back Kalen Ballard tied the 26-year-old NCAA record for touchdowns in a game with 8. Last guy to do that, Robert Griffin, who scored 8 times for Illinois in a 1990 win over Southern Illinois. But that was a game. But what he had to say, I really liked it. That's why I want to include it. Check out what he had to say.
Kalen, 8 touchdowns tonight on 15 touches. You tied the NCAA record. It seems like a simple question, but what got into you tonight?
It wasn't me. It was God, and it was my offensive lineman. That's really all I can say, man. They blocked their asses off for me tonight, and I ran behind them and got loose a few times.
Did you realize how close you were to the record?
No, I wasn't paying attention to that at all. I want to win a football game. You know, I don't care if I score 1 touchdown or 20. It doesn't matter. As long as we win, I'm fine with it.
And this was a hard-fought battle throughout the entire game, really back and forth. What does this performance say about what we can see from the Sun Devils this season?
We never quit. We never give up. You know, we keep pounding it. And we train for games like this, you know, and that's why we almost have a 5th quarter in us. That's what we like to call it. And we were just ready to play for whatever they brought for us.
What can we expect from you for the rest of the year?
Just to work hard. Just to work hard and be a leader.
That's a lot of humbleness right there. I love it. I never heard of him until this game, and I look forward to following his career because he sounds like a really great person. And first thing he said was, blessings to God, and also for the offensive linemen. That you know, it was all of them. So I love that. I love that. Something that Lane Kiffin didn't love was Alabama coach Nick Saban, kind of got into it with them during a 38-10 victory over Western Kentucky. Now, they were up 28 points with less than a minute left in the game, and Saban snatched off his own headset and ripped into Kiffin. He goes on screaming while walking alongside, with him on the field. And at one point, it looked as if Saban might throw his headset toward Griffin. It was pretty funny to watch. Now, Griffin, he just took it. He just took it. Didn't talk back. He didn't respond in any bad way. He just put his hands over his hips and just listened. And I thought it was funny because I don't like Lane Kiffin. Now, when Saban was asked, this is the best part. When Saban was asked after the game what the argument was about, he disputed the way the question was worded. He said, quote, "There are no arguments. Those are called ass chewings." End of quote. Just like that. Love it. Saban, that guy's a boss. Alabama did have 12 penalties though, while rushing for fewer than 3.3 yards per carry, and, kind of getting on them about the offense. An offensive lineman from Mount San Antonio College is accused of punching a referee. I don't know why it says accused. They have video, like it's on video. It's clear to see. This guy punched a referee on the field during Saturday night's game against Ventura College in Ventura, California. Powerhouse schools, I believe. Not really. His name was Bernard Schirmer. He was immediately ejected from the community college game, and upon review of the footage, which is funny to say upon review, it's clear to see. If you guys haven't seen it, it's everywhere. He was also arrested on suspicion of battery, and then he was taken to Ventura County Jail. The incident occurred in the 3rd quarter. Police say the official, whose name was not released, it might have been by now, but it doesn't really matter. He tried to break up an argument between the two players and then was straight up just KO'd. Knocked out. I'm talking about Debo type of knockout. Just knocked him out. Straight one punch to the nose, and the referee just, had like I don't know, it just fell back. I felt bad. It was terrible. It's not something to laugh about, but it is kind of funny when you watch it. Yeah, so that happened. Community college, where you get the best action right there. Now, something that's not funny. Minneapolis police are trying to determine whether 4 Minnesota football players who were suspended from last weekend's game against Indiana State were involved in an alleged sexual assault. Now, the assault allegedly occurred on September 3rd, hours after the Golden Gophers opened the season with a victory over Oregon State. Now, Coach Tracy Glaze suspended cornerbacks Keontae Harden, Ray Burford, safety Gior Johnson, and defensive end Samarion Johnson? I'm pretty sure I got that right. For the Indiana State game on Saturday for violating unspecified team rules. Now, police on Monday confirmed that the names of those 4 players have come up in their investigation, but they didn't provide any further details. Now, they're off. The Gophers are off this week, and they play home against Colorado State on September 3rd. And that kind of leads into something else as well. Now, North Carolina football player was accused of sexual battery and assault on a female in February. Now, the issue was warrant was issued Tuesday, accuses Alan Artis, a 21-year-old junior linebacker, of 2 misdemeanors against UNC Chapel Hill sophomore Delaney Robinson. The warrant says that he had sex with her while she was mentally incapacitated and physically helpless. And also, with that, in that same story, apparently a coach or an athletic administration staff told Alan Artis, quote, "Don't sweat it," end quote. When this all came up, said, "Don't worry about it. We got you covered." Not so much. Not so much. And apparently this isn't the only thing that's happened with sexual assault. Now, as a result of investigations in 2 states regarding separate allegations of sexual assault of the same woman, USC Trojan linebacker Osa Masina is no longer welcome at the university, according to his attorney. Quote, "He's now been removed from the school altogether, not just the football team. He's not allowed to practice. He's not even allowed to be on campus," end quote. The university informed Mancina of this decision on Friday and allowed him until 6 p.m. on Monday to vacate his campus residence. And then he apparently returned to his family back in Salt Lake City on Sunday. Him and also teammate Don Hill, who was also under investigation for sexually assaulting the same woman, will no longer take part in football-related activities. Now, neither player was allowed to play in the past 2 games of the Trojans, but they continue to practice with the team and attend meetings. It is unclear if Hill will be allowed to continue to go to class. So here's where it gets kind of weird and strange. According to the details in the search warrant obtained by ESPN from Los Angeles Superior Court, both players are accused of sexually assaulting a woman in Hill's off-campus apartment in July. Mancina, who is also under investigation for a sexual assault of the same woman in Cottonwood Heights, Utah on July 26. Neither player has been arrested or charged. If charges are filed against Mancina in Utah, he will surrender to authorities. Now, again, where we're getting into it now. Mancina was served with a search warrant on August 25th to collect DNA samples and his cell phone, in which he allegedly used to film himself having sex with the woman and later send the video to the woman's ex-boyfriend through the social media application of Snapchat. 4 days after the search warrant was executed, Helton announced Mancina will not travel with the team to Texas to play against Alabama, citing, quote, violation of team rules. Hill, on the other side, he made the trip but then returned home after details of his involvement became public. So this woman was sexually assaulted by these 2 players in 2 different states. I don't know. It's not, obviously it's not good, but also the woman kind of I'm guessing she put herself in the situation because you think about it, how does it happen twice to you? 2 football players on the same team. Now, that kind of sounds like you're setting yourself up for something like this. Now, still, it's bad on these players. Definitely bad on these players. Not protecting these players whatsoever. But the odds of it happening in the same year to 2 players on the same football team in short time, that leads you to wonder just a little bit. Leads you to wonder. But it's terrible that these things are happening. Let's get on to it. LSU said that star running back Leonard Fournette, he's going to be available for the SEC opener against Mississippi State. So he's good. Of course, he sat out against Jacksonville State, and they still did a good job rushing the ball. And I mean, obviously they should, because it was Jacksonville State. Darius Grease rushed for 155 yards and a touchdown, while Darrell Williams had a combined 51 yards rushing and receiving, and Nick Brossette rushed for 40 yards. Those are the three backups behind Leonard Fournette. So he still did a good job, but there aren't Leonard Fournette, and now he should be ready and good to go. Also good to go is Houston quarterback Greg Ward Jr. He's been cleared to return for Thursday's game against Cincinnati. Now he missed Saturday's game against Tough Lamar with an injury to his throwing shoulder. Kyle Postma started in his place and led number 6 Houston to a 42-0 victory, rushing for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he is good to go, and which is nice because they're definitely going to need him against Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, remember, that's another team that's trying to get into the Big 12. So this is kind of a potential Big 12 conference game right here with Houston and Cincinnati, and both are the only games, or I guess I should say the only ranked game on Thursday night. And so there's a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. Some bad news for Florida State fans. Sophomore safety and star Derwin James will miss 5 to 7 weeks after undergoing surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his left knee, Seminoles head coach Jimbo Fisher said Tuesday. Now, one thing I haven't seen yet, and I believe it happened last night, came out last night, was a season with a Showtime show with covering this the Florida State Seminoles. I don't have Showtime, so if someone wants to hook it up with a password, I'll get you on the show. I'll send you a shirt. I'll send you a sticker. I mean, what do I got to do so I can watch this? Because I really want to watch it, but at the same time, I don't have Showtime, and I'm not about to pay, $100 something plus a month for Showtime. So, if y'all want to hook it up, or if y'all know someone on YouTube that's uploading it, I'll watch it in 480p. It's cool. I mean, can't have everything nice, HD. All right. So, before we get on to, our main topics with Deshaun Watson, recapping some of the games last week, and of course, making our picks, which we struggled. We struggled, guys. We struggled making some picks. We had the chance to interview Joe Vazzelli. Now, he used to work, with the San Marcos Daily Record here in, obviously, San Marcos, Texas, covering the Texas State Bobcats. And so I had a chance to work with him and learn from him. He's also somewhat a mentor to me. But we had a chance to talk to him. He's now working. He got his degree at the University of Missouri. So he went back home, I guess you could say. He's from Philadelphia. But anyways, he's back in Missouri covering the Missouri Tigers. And, we had a chance to talk to him about Missouri, also Deshaun Watson, and, some other college football and NFL news. So go ahead and check it out. We have Joe Vazzelli coming on to the show. Joe, how are you? And how is Mizzou treating you?
Pretty good. Just kind of getting involved in the football season. It's cool for the next couple of weeks. Missouri's at home, so I'll get to cover about 3 football games. And starting this Saturday, they have Georgia in town, so it should be a pretty exciting contest. And really, we'll see kind of where Missouri is in terms of whether or not they're a contender in the East this year or not.
And I'm glad you jumped to that because, I really don't want to talk about my TCU Horned Frogs. We'll discuss some other news, and especially with your Missouri Tigers. Now, after a bad loss to West Virginia, they responded with a big offensive game against Eastern Michigan. Now, how do you think they're going to fare the next couple of games, and where do you really see them at right now?
Well, I think it kind of depends. I mean, really, you look at over the history of the success that offenses have had against Kirby Smart-led defenses. Really, the one thing that's kind of been a trouble spot for those defenses at Alabama, his defense at Alabama, have been up-tempo offenses. So I think Missouri hopes that will pay off for them. They've averaged 3.66 plays per minute and 3.88 plays per minute in their first 2 games, which is pretty quick. It would be one of the quickest teams in the country if they were able to maintain that over the entire season. So I think they believe that they'll be able to use that to their advantage. The quarterback Drew Lock looked really good last week against Eastern Michigan. He looked okay West Virginia. They were able to put up a decent amount of yards, 466, which was actually their most yards in 2 seasons before that. So they had a good amount of yards in that game against West Virginia the opening weekend, but really their problem has been production in the red zone. Even last week against Eastern Michigan, they had the ball inside the 5-yard line, and Drew Lock fumbled. And so, really, if they're going to beat Georgia, I think this is kind of the week we'll figure out how good they are, or whether or not they're just going to be kind of a middle-of-the-pack SEC team that might get 6 wins and make a bowl game.
Right, and a topic I'm going to be talking about is Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson. Now, he's looked off to the start of the 2016 season, and I personally had him as my Heisman winner. But do you think the media is putting too much pressure on Watson, or is there more missing pieces that we're not seeing to this offense for his struggles?
It's kind of interesting because, Clemson is among the teams that a lot of people were talking about throughout the season or throughout the preseason that had really high expectations, and they've kind of been disappointing. They looked, I think what happened the first weekend at Auburn, I think that's a lot of credit to what Auburn can do defensively. But last week when you struggle with Troy, Troy's from the Sun Belt. They're not a very good Sun Belt team. They're not Louisiana Lafayette or Georgia Southern, or one of those teams from the Sun Belt that's has been really good over the years. So I think the question is what's kind of going on with Deshaun Watson? Is it too much, like you said, maybe a little too much pressure? Is it maybe that they're kind of taking things for granted, that they were just going to be good right out of the bat, and they really haven't kind of they haven't been focused? I personally think that this offense is too good not to get better and not for Deshaun Watson. Because, like you said, I was kind of in the same boat. I thought Deshaun Watson was the best player going into the season. He would have been my Heisman pick. So I think he's going to – I think he'll turn it around. But if it starts to get to the point where, another couple weeks from now and he's continuing to struggle, I think that might be a sign of something else going on, whether it be an injury or, something something otherwise that's going on that maybe that we just don't see right now. Right,
and I've been beginning kind of joked on with the Texas Longhorns at the high school. Some of the coaches. Now, I personally believe that they shouldn't be ranked as high as they are right now. I obviously they are an improved team, but I want to hope that you can back me up on this. What are your thoughts on Texas? Are they actually for real, or should we wait, like I've been saying, until they play the 2 Oklahoma schools to really judge what this Texas team is?
Yeah, I think it is really early to proclaim that they're back. One win. Certainly over a top 10 team. I think Notre Dame is a top 10, top 15 team. I definitely think they're going to be good. I thought that there were some things that they fumbled in that opening week with going between the quarterbacks. But you can't really judge too much from one game. They played UTEP last week, and I know they had a couple guys that were sitting out. But that's not a team that they're going to. Certainly they're not Oklahoma. And so I think you have to wait to kind of see where things are. But I will say this, the Big 12 is really wide open this year. TCU, as I hate to bring them up, but, for your sake, but, they've played inconsistent their first couple of games. And then you have Baylor you're kind of not sure about. Oklahoma State ends up losing to Central Michigan. Oklahoma loses to a very good Houston team week 1, and I think they're still have to be the favorites to win the conference. But I think if Texas is going to have a chance to win the Big 12 this year, or be at least a really good contender in the Big 12, this might be their year just because of how wide open the conference looks. But I'm with you. I think you still have to wait until you get into conference play before we can say that Texas is definitely back. But I will say this, they're definitely on their way to doing that, and I think it's good. I feel good for Charlie Strong because I think he's had to put up with a lot of things that he shouldn't have had to put up with, and I think he's starting to prove that he was the guy that had all that success at Louisville. And kind of similar to Louisville, it took him a couple of years before he was able to get that program turned around, and it seems to be following a similar track on the 40 acres.
Right, now let's go ahead and move on to the NFL. And since you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, what do you think of Carson Wentz's first start?
Well, everybody in Philadelphia thinks he's like a folk hero, from one game, which I kind of expected. And it's interesting to kind of read the columns from all the different writers in Philadelphia. Kind of most of the people trying to get them to pump the brake, get the fans to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. But I will say this: the 2 touchdowns he threw were both really impressive throws. The one to Jordan Matthews was delivered on a dime, and then the other one to Nelson Aguilar was also delivered on a dime. And so he was impressive, and I know it's against the Browns, but there are a lot of people that, I was listening to the broadcasts or the kind of the shows, the NFL, the pregame shows, and one of the things that I kept hearing was a lot of people were saying, this is really not a good situation for him. You don't really have a lot of veteran leadership on the Eagles, not a lot of experience, especially not, a running back that you can lean on with the Oklahomaâ being gone. So, I was relatively impressed by week 1, but, I think we have to pump the brakes a little bit and realize that, it was the Browns. He'll be tested throughout the season as always, but, I think it was a good start for him, and I actually think he did better than I thought he would for his first start. So I think overall, I feel pretty optimistic about what's kind of in the future for the Eagles.
Right. So let's go ahead and do some game predictions. We got 5 college football and 5 NFL games. We'll start with college football first, and then a very exciting week 3 of action. We got number 2 Florida State taking on number 10 Louisville. Who do you got?
I think I have to go with Florida State. I do think that they've earned the number 2 spot. I know that they struggled against Ole Miss, but personally, I think they're a team that is going to continue to contend and stay in that top 2 spot. So I've got them beating Louisville. I think Louisville's really good, but they're not Florida State good.
And speaking of Ole Miss, they host number 1 Alabama. It's going to be another dominating game for Alabama, or do you think Ole Miss gets an upset?
I think Alabama wins. I'm not sure if Nick Saban has another sideline tirade, but that might be a side prediction for some people, whether or not that's going to happen on Saturday. But I'm going to go with the Roll Tide. All
right. And a potential trap game, number 17, Texas A&M takes on Auburn. Do you see Auburn getting the dub or A&M rolling on?
Is it in Auburn?
It is in Auburn.
That's a really tough one because I think if Auburn can ever figure out their quarterback situation, that first game was borderline unwatchable with 3 quarterbacks. I just don't think they have their quarterback situation handled. I do think they'll hold Texas A&M's offense down because I think that defense is actually really good. But I think the Aggies squeak it out in the end and get a very close victory in Auburn.
And let's go to your former team, your Texas State Bobcats, taking on number 24 Arkansas. Who you got?
If Texas State can keep it within 20, it might be a win. But no, I think Auburn. I think Arkansas is just too good. There's too much talent there. I don't think it's a really good matchup for Texas State in terms of being able to stick around. I think that just how physical Arkansas is going to cause them problems. They might keep it close in the first half, but it's just not a very favorable matchup. Have to go with Arkansas. Relatively big.
And finally, we have number 3 Ohio State taking on 14 Oklahoma in Norman. Who you got?
That's a hard one because for Oklahoma, this is one that pretty much if they lose, this eliminates them from the playoff contention because they'd have 2 losses. I'm going to go with I'll go with Oklahoma. I just think that they're a better team than a lot of people think. They played a really good Houston team week 1, and I think Ohio State. I watched them against Tulsa. They really kind of struggled with them. I don't think they're quite as good as they've been in the past, And so let's go with Oklahoma.
Nice. And then to the NFL, we have Bengals versus the Steelers.
Well, I thought the Steelers looked good week one. Last night against Washington. The Bengals and Andy Dalton, they kind of struggled with the Jets a little bit. Obviously, they were able to they were able to win in the end. I'm going to go with the Steel Curtain, the Steelers.
Nice. And next one is the Chiefs and the Houston Texans. And the Chiefs, of course, my San Diego Chargers do what they do best. They choke and give up a big lead. And now now the Chiefs go on to play the Texans. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Texans. I think the Texans are really an underrated team. I actually think that they might be able to join the Super Bowl conversation toward the end of the season. So I'm going to go with them.
Nice. And then, of course, speaking of the Chargers, they take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who almost had the Green Bay Packers. You have the Jags or the Chargers?
I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to go with the Jags. I think the Jags are a similar team to Houston. They're not quite there yet, but I think they're one of those up-and-coming teams, maybe along with Oakland, who can be like a 7-8 win team this year. I've been really impressed by Blake Bortles, and they've got one of the most underrated wide receiver corps, I think, in the NFL, and so I'm going to go with the Jags.
Nice, and sadly, I am too. And then you have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Denver Broncos. The Colts, pretty shocking loss to the Lions, and pretty shocking win for the Broncos to beat the Carolina Panthers. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Broncos. I was very impressed by Tyler Simeon in that first game of the year. I did not see that coming, and their defense is still really good. They still got that guy named Von Miller. So let's go with Denver, because I was very surprised with the Carolina win, and I think that kind of validates them as a Super Bowl contender this season.
And finally, your Philadelphia Eagles go on the road to take on the Chicago Bears on Monday night. Who do you have in this game? I'm pretty sure I already know.
This is so tough, though. No, I'm gonna go with the Eagles. The heart definitely says the Eagles. The head, Chicago. I don't know. Let's just go with the Eagles. I can't pick against the Eagles. I would be criticized by so many different people. But yeah, I'll go with the Eagles.
Nice. All right, Joe. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you again towards the end of the season.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the show, but I want to say first off, thank you for all of your support. Without you, I'd just be some guy talking to a microphone. And I got some amazing news. I recently joined Patreon. And in case you're wondering, Patreon is an amazing way for you to earn some sweet rewards by supporting the Short Sports Show. I promise you, you will love the perks, and your support will help build this show. Go to www.patreon.com/theshortsportshow and view the amazing rewards you would get directly from me to you by donating to the show. The link is in the description, so when you have some time, check it out. And again, thank you for listening and supporting the Short Sports Show. Now back to me rambling on about something.
So I appreciate Joe Vazelli. You guys can follow him on Twitter at Joe Vazelli. It is in the links, or excuse me, his Twitter is in the description down below. So go ahead and check him out. He posts some good stuff. He writes some great articles. So I appreciate him, and we'll try to talk to him later in the season, come around bowl games and stuff like that, because it's going to be one of our college football guys for us. Now the AP Top 25 for Week 2 came out. Of course, I'll say this, guys. Thankfully, the coaches at San Marcos in high school, of course, because I'm an intern coach, they love it when I say that. They love it. It's funny. Anyways, they're a bunch of characters. They're awesome. They're awesome guys. And of course, I'm a TCU fan. I'm the lone TCU fan. And most of them, of course, are going to be Texas fans. There's a Houston fan in there, I believe. I think there's also an A&M fan. So, so of course, when TCU lost to Arkansas, I was going to hear about it, and I have been hearing about it all week, and it's pretty entertaining. We talk about Texas, and as you heard from Joe, so I have a little bit of backup here on where we feel about Texas. I'm not going to talk too much about my TCU. All I will say is it might be a rough season. And I wish this was the time where we could go undefeated. So that way I didn't have to hear about it. You know, we could just be like, yeah, TCU's great. Cool. Let's move on. I just hope that TCU, if anything, depending on how the season goes, because the offensive line is garbage and so is the defense, which is very rare to say. I don't think we've said that since like 2000. I hope TCU just beats a few teams. Baylor, Texas Tech, SMU, and Texas. If they can just get 4 more W's, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Because as long, and maybe Oklahoma. I mean, we could just throw that one out there. If we could just have that, I'm okay with that season. Especially the main game of beating Baylor and Texas. Because then I don't have to hear about it. I get to brag. I get to be the one to joke on them. That's all I want. Just a little bit of love. Just a little bit of time to shine. That's all. No, they're awesome. So Alabama, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, and Clemson round off the top 5. And Clemson drops from 2 to 5. And I think we saw it coming. Back-to-back weeks of really bad games. Defensively, I think we're, at least from my point of view, I was a little shocked to see that they have really reloaded on defense and not really, not rebuilding, because they've lost a lot of pieces back-to-back years defensively to the NFL. And now it seemed like that was a little bit, we were worried to see who's going to replace Shaq Lawson, Kevin Dodd, a few of those D linemen. But they've done a really good job. Granted, they've played Auburn with a very bad offense, and Troy, who is not a powerhouse, not really a top team. But where a lot of people are shocked is the fact that Deshaun Watson isn't really performing to where we thought he was going to. So it leads to the question of, are we as media, as fans, are we putting too much pressure on Deshaun Watson? He struggled. Now again, I personally had him as my Heisman winner. I had him winning the Heisman and almost putting up the exact same numbers as he did last season. Because honestly, I think if I was voting, I would have had Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry in that order of who winning the Heisman, putting in the votes. I didn't really think Derrick Henry should have won it, but it's over. It's whatever. So are we putting too much pressure? Or are there pieces of, are there missing pieces that we are not seeing that are leading to both Deshaun Watson and the Clemson offensive struggles? Now, on Monday, Watson said he was having a hard time enjoying the start of the 26th season because of media obligations and expectations have weighed him down. This is what he had to say.
This now that it's probably your last go around here?
I would. I guess so. I'm not Superman. I'm not a superhero. And I had a talk with Coach Sweeney this morning. I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. I've started 22 games, and this is probably, I'm 21-1, and this is probably my worst one. At the end of the day, we're 2-0. You live and learn, and you correct the mistakes. We could, easily be, 1-1 right now or 0-2. At the end of the day, we're 2-0. We just learn from the mistakes and move on. And I just a reality check this weekend with myself. I'm just really enjoying it because I just really looking back at it, and Tim and those guys really know. My freshman year when I come to media, and I just kind of, with y'all, just apology, because I think y'all can feed off too the negative energy that I bring to the media, because I get it so much, it just kind of jaws on me. So it's just kind of like, oh, I got to do this media over again.
Now, of course, Clemson, maybe not so much missing pieces. They're returning 8 starters from last season, from the offense. And they've struggled to pick it up where they left it off last season, thanks to a combination of mistakes, drop passes. I wouldn't really say the run game is struggling. I think Wayne Gallman has done a pretty good job. I think Troy, it's tough. Auburn might actually have a really good defense. So I know we like to joke on Auburn, but they might have a really good defense. Now, Watson, he was a Heisman finalist in 2015, throwing for more than 4,000 yards, rushing for over 1,000 yards, and has yet to really make a play, make the big-time highlight plays that we've been accustomed to seeing him. Now, Clemson co-offensive coordinator Jeff Scott said the message this week has been to tell Watson and the entire offense to just relax, and let loose against South Carolina State on Saturday. Deshaun Watson last week, 27 of 53, 292 yards, 3 touchdowns. Completion percentage scares me, worries me, just a little bit. Now, really, this is the point where we have to see something for the entire Clemson offense, and specifically since we're talking about Deshaun Watson, we've got to see something much better. I'm not saying he's got to be Lamar Jackson, who's getting 8 touchdowns and 6 touchdowns in the first half. I'm not saying that. All I want to see is a better completion percentage, and I don't want to come off as just a stat guy, but he really has to put up the big stats. It's South Carolina State. I mean, damn, I didn't even know they had a team. So they really got to put a high-scoring offense up there. If not, Clemson might not be ready for a Florida State team. Might not even be ready for a Miami team. Now, I know they crushed Miami last season, but Miami's a different team this year. ACC is a lot stronger. Louisville. They might not be ready for it if they continue to perform like they have been the past 2 games, and if Deshaun Watson, I feel bad because I like Deshaun Watson. Last week we talked to Matt Yustin, who's our draft insider, and he was saying how much he liked Kaiser more than Watson. Which is, it's a great, it's an opinion, and a solid opinion, of course. I feel Deshaun Watson is still better. And I feel like maybe it's just going to take them a little bit. Maybe they entered the season with too high of expectations and automatically assuming they were just going to be good. They were just going to step in there, crush everybody they played, and repeat majority of what they did last season. I mean, they've got the target on them. While they now drop from 2 to 5, and no, they didn't win the national championship, though they were an onside kick away from winning it, it seems like they have the bigger target on them, as if they did win the national championship, as if they are the number 1 team rather than an Alabama team. We're not focusing on Alabama having that target on their back that everybody's going to give them their best shot. While they still are, I'm not denying that. But when you look at Clemson and Deshaun Watson, it seems like everyone is just going to give them the best they could possibly can because they want to be the team to knock off Clemson. So my question to you is, are we putting too much pressure on Deshaun Watson? I think we might have. That's why he's been struggling. And I hope they get it back together, because when Clemson rolls and Deshaun Watson, it's fun to watch. It is fun to watch. So we'll see. All right. So let's go ahead and recap some games. We only got 3 games to recap, then we're going to make some predictions and move on to the NFL. Right? All right, let's go ahead and do it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Arkansas and TCU. As a TCU fan, this game hurt. But I'm an optimistic man, right? I believe that game was a wake-up call for TCU. Arkansas is not going to be the toughest team TCU plays this season. Not at all. Like Joe said, it is a wide-open Big 12 right now. We still don't know who's who. We don't know if Texas is for real. We don't know if Oklahoma's overrated. We don't know if Baylor still has it. Who's TCU? Who's TCU? Now, obviously, like I said, the O-line needs to pick it up. The defense needs to pick it up. One thing, I love Sonny Cumbie. I love Doug Meacham, the co-offensive coordinators at TCU. They're absolute offensive genius. But why is it when these air raid guys, they're so accustomed to just wanting to throw the ball, that they did forget the fundamentals of just hey, you got a couple good running backs. Let's run the ball a little bit. Now, I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not in the game planning. I don't know what's going on, why they're not running the ball as more than they should. But you start watching the games, and especially when you're a top fan, you're watching this, the team, very much so, and you just see the frustration of just not running the ball when it's 3rd and 1. Why are we throwing fades? Just get the first down, then throw a fade. Let's work our way to it. Develop the running game. It might just open up the passing game a little bit more, especially with Kenny Hill kind of making some decisions in the first half that are really the best. Now, and again, I'm not going to take anything away from Arkansas, because Arkansas, they showed up. Austin Allen, who was not supposed to be a good quarterback, or, he's supposed to be just about an average or above average kind of game manager type of quarterback. No, he showed up. He did. 17 of 29, 223 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Raylene Williams, the running back, the running back for Arkansas, 28 carries, 137 yards. I did a really good job. This might be the TCU type of season where they go back to 4-8 again, and then they shoot back up. I mean, it's frustrating as a fan to watch this. I still love my team. I'm still going to rock with them. And, I just hope we beat Texas. So then I go see those coaches. I get a laugh. Virginia Tech at Tennessee, man, in front of 150,000 people that majority of them couldn't even get a good spot to watch the game. Tennessee woke up in the second quarter. 24 points and never looked back to win the game. 45-24 was the final score. Joshua Dobbs did a much better job in this game, showing much more poise in the pocket while extending plays with his feet when needed. He did a really good job. He was 10 of 19, 91 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but also 14 carries, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tennessee really showed up. I had Virginia Tech winning the game, and I really felt confident that Virginia Tech could win this game, but Tennessee got it going now. Not saying Tennessee's going to go win the SEC now. I know that's a bunch of Tennessee fans. They're already up there. Chill. Finally, SMU versus Baylor. Now, don't let the score fool you. It's 40-13. That was the final score. This game was tied at 6 at halftime before SMU shot themselves in the foot several times and letting the Baylor Bears pull away. Now, if this was any other team, I truly believe Baylor would have lost this game. Multiple turnovers and failed drives, offensive drives in the beginning, where SMU was in a really good spot to put some points on the board. And then they would just give the ball right back. They threw 2 interceptions in the end zone. Bad, oh man. Baylor had 3 early turnovers that most teams would have taken advantage of and put up touchdowns, put up points, especially SMU. I mean, they got a pretty good offense. They really do. Sutton is a legit top first-round wide receiver. He's good. He's been good for quite a while. So no one's really talked about SMU. But you know what SMU did after those turnovers? They gave it right back with 4 of their own. And of course, if you keep giving Baylor opportunities, at some point the offense is going to click. And guess what? Late into the third quarter, that's exactly what happened. And Baylor ends up putting 34 more points on the board. That's what happens. Oh well. Let's go ahead and make some predictions now. Start off Thursday night football, college football. So you're either going to watch number 6 Houston and Cincinnati play each other, or the Jets and the Bills in Thursday night football for the NFL. I'm watching. Well, I'm at the game, so I can't really watch. So I don't know why I said that. But if I was going to watch a game, I'm watching the Cincinnati and Houston game, and I'm taking Houston to win this game. Greg Ward's back. He's fine. The shoulder shouldn't be an issue. Obviously, Cincinnati's going to come at Houston. Again, like we talked about earlier, this is a potential Big 12 conference game. And as the only ranked game, and most likely, I only do ranked games, so that's why I don't really know if there's another college football game on TV. And I'm gonna go on the assumption that there's not. As the only college football game on, and it's on ESPN, not ESPN2 or ESPNU, both teams are going to want to show out. Houston, of course, they've got to continue to put big points. They played their Oklahoma game, and after that, it's a drop-off until they play Louisville, I believe. So this is really all they've got. So they've got to put a big game. Cincinnati, on the other hand, they're 2-0. They want to make some noise. Why not do it by taking down Houston, who's competing against you to get into Big 12? I think it's gonna be a great game, but I think Houston gets a W here. On Friday, we have another Texas showdown. Number 21, Baylor taking on Rice on ESPN at 7 o'clock Central Time. Going to take Baylor here. Why not? I mean, Rice, it's not happening. On Saturday, South Carolina State taking on number 5, Clemson, 11 a.m. on the ACC network. Of course, going with Clemson here. Then, of course, a big-time game, which I am shocked that it was at 11 a.m. and not at night, because there's not a whole lot of night games, so I don't know why they didn't just move it. Number 2, Florida State, taking on number 10, Louisville at 11 a.m. Central Time on ABC. Very shocking. 11 a.m. A big-time game like this. This is a very tough game to pick. A very tough game to pick. Now, had Ole Miss beat Florida State, I would have felt more comfortable going with Louisville here. Well, Florida State, they might have more juice. They might have more juice, and Lamar Jackson playing against his first real team. Now, Syracuse was a pretty good, well, not a pretty good defense, but a good test for them, and they responded pretty well. Florida State's a different animal. Now, they lost Derwin James, and this is tough. This is very tough. I like to make my predictions live. I mean, usually some games you kind of just know, like the Clemson, South Carolina State, Baylor, Rice. You kind of just know who you're going with. Florida State, Louisville. I mean, this game, honestly, it could go either way. It could go either way, and I'm gonna go ahead and just take. I'm gonna take Louisville. I'm gonna take Louisville. Being at home, you know it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be crazy. And maybe the Florida State defense is a little bit let down after losing Derwin James. I'm going to take Louisville. Going with Louisville. Going with the Cardinals. Ohio taking on 15 Tennessee and on the SEC network at 11 a.m. Going to take Tennessee here. North Dakota State taking on number 13 Iowa on ESPN2. This might be a game. Now, North Dakota State is taking down some FBS schools. Could Iowa be the next victim? I don't think so, but I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, 13-6 type of game, maybe 21 points for one team, and that's not about the highest. I'm gonna take Iowa here, but North Dakota State, it's going to give them a run for their money. Georgia State taking on Wisconsin, going with Wisconsin. Miami taking on Appalachian State at Appalachian State. This is going to be a good game. 11 a.m. on ESPN. I like this matchup. I really do. Brad Kyle on the road. Appalachian State hosting, most likely, this is the biggest team they've ever hosted. Both as a historical brand and a ranked opponent, a top opponent, Miami. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a great game. I'm taking Miami here. I know a lot of people I've talked to, they think Miami's overrated. They think they're getting too much. I don't think so. I think this Miami team might make some noise in the ACC. I really think so. And also because, I was accepted to the University of Miami, which found out today, they are ranked 44th in the nation. I feel kind of smart. I feel like I should give my, self pat on the back. No? All right. Number 1, Alabama taking on Ole Miss, number 19 Ole Miss at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on CBS. And again, I would feel more comfortable going with Ole Miss here had Ole Miss beat Florida State, but that did not happen. And I feel like Alabama's just going to kind of suffocate Ole Miss. I think Alabama wins this game. Close game, though. Close game. Taking Alabama. Colorado taking on Michigan. Now, Colorado was in the news because of two things. One, the most famous one, they made a funny depth chart. of Michigan. Michigan didn't release a depth chart, and so the Colorado staff decided to make their own Michigan depth chart, and it's pretty funny. I shared it on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, @ShortSportsShow. Self-plug. And also, Colorado was going to be wearing the exact same uniform layout, design, whatever you want to say, that they wore when Cordell Stewart threw the game-winning Hail Mary touchdown in the Big House back in the day. It's going to be a good game. Now, sadly, it's only on the Big Ten Network at 2:30. I'm going to go with Michigan here, but Colorado, I like the style. Number 22, Oregon goes on the road to Nebraska. Take on the Cornhuskers at 2:30 p.m. on ABC. And I'm going to go with Oregon here. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska wins this game. Tommy Armstrong might be able to get it done, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick Oregon here, even though they've been pretty sloppy. Potential trap game, number 17, Texas A&M taking on Auburn at 6 o'clock on ESPN. And one of the coaches is not going to be happy with me. I'm going to go ahead and take Auburn on this one. Or should I? Actually, no. No, never mind. Scratch that. No, I'm going to take it to Texas A&M. Auburn's defense is going to, keep A&M down for multiple drives, but I feel like Auburn's just going to be that team where they won't take advantage of it. They'll give A&M a few 3-and-outs, and Auburn will be in good field position, and either they're going to settle for field goals or they're going to turn the ball over, and Auburn's offense is just terrible. It really is. Mississippi State, LSU, going to go with LSU. North Texas, Florida, going with Florida. Michigan State, number 12 Michigan State, going against number 18 Notre Dame at 6:30 p.m. on NBC. Another pretty good game. And I'm going to take Michigan State here. I'm going to rock with Michigan State. Close game, but I think Mark D'Antonio is going to get these boys right. And Michigan State's been, getting a lot of criticism. And I think they want to show out and show that they can play with the big boys. I think they knocked down Notre Dame. The Texas State Bobcats, taking on number 24 Arkansas. Woo! 31-point spread. 31 points in favor of Arkansas at 6:30 p.m. on the SEC Network. Gonna go with Arkansas here. Yeah. But hey, hopefully Bobcats can pull it out. Number 16, Georgia taking on Missouri. Gonna go with Georgia here. Number 3, Ohio State taking on number 14, Oklahoma. Now this is a very tough game to pick at 6:30 p.m. on Fox. Very tough game. And here's why. Ohio State, first test of the season. First real game of the season. Bowling Green doesn't count. Tulsa doesn't count. Oklahoma counts. Ohio State, are they really a top dog? A lot of people have them highly ranked. Now, I mean, they are number 3 right in the country right now, but do they deserve it? They lost a lot in last season, and we thought maybe they would drop off. They've shown pretty good poise with JT Barrett. Could Oklahoma do it? Now, Oklahoma, they know that this game, if they lose, it's over. Their season's over with. It don't matter. They can win the Big 12. They can beat every team left on schedule, and it's over. They're not making the college football playoffs. Mark it down right now. They will not. Oklahoma Sooners will not make the college football playoffs if they lose to Ohio State, whether it's by a point or it's by 21 points. They will not. 2 losses to 2 top teams says you can't play with the big dogs. You can't. So Oklahoma has a lot more on the line than Ohio State does. If Ohio State loses this game, they still have a playoff chance. They still have a chance. If they lose, if Oklahoma loses, it's all but over for them. Their season, the Red River rivalry, does not matter. And so part of me wants Oklahoma to lose because then when they go and play Texas here in a few weeks, they're going to take all their anger out because Texas might be undefeated at that point and highly ranked and all overhyped. And Oklahoma would just love. I'm going Ohio State here because I want Oklahoma to lose this game. I want them to lose this game because imagine this in a few weeks. Texas has, this week they have Cal, then they have at Oklahoma State, and then they play Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Imagine Texas is undefeated at that point. They're probably 7, maybe 6 in the country at that point, depending on how good the victories are. And imagine Oklahoma, knowing that the college football playoffs are out of their reach. And you know what? They say, look, not only is this a rivalry that we want to win and we were embarrassed last season, but hey, let's go ruin Texas's season by knocking them off. That is something I'm excited about. So Ohio State, please do me this favor. Please do me this favor of beating Oklahoma. Now, I believe one of the coaches is an Oklahoma fan, and I'm sorry for this, but I think you can agree with me that this would be a pretty good victory for the season if you can ruin Texas' season. It would be awesome. Please, Ohio State. Please win. Portland State taking on number 8 Washington, going with the UW Huskies. USC taking on number 7 Stanford, going with Stanford. And, of course, Texas taking on Cal at 9:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Going to go with Texas here. Hopefully Cal beats them too because, whatever. Let's move on to the NFL. But before we do, let's talk about InnerGrind. Check it out.
Today's show is sponsored by InnerGrind. Based out of Houston, Texas, let former Texas State linebacker Michael Rakpo help you reach your fitness and nutrition goals. With personal training classes that start at $40 a session, why not be a part of this rising program? Now, whether your goals are to lose weight, gain muscle mass, find the right off-season program, or even for you ladies out there to get that booty blast, you can do it all with InnerGrind. Not in the Houston area, not a problem. InnerGrind has a program that is personalized just for you. InnerGrind has everything you need to meet your personal and healthy goals. NFL linebackers like Titans Brian Orakpo, Chiefs Derek Johnson, Buccaneers running back Charles Sims, and San Diego Chargers cornerback Craig Mager, along with many other young athletes, have already begun. Find your personalized workout and nutrition plan at InnerGrind.com and call 832-475-2829. That's InnerGrind.com, 832-475-2829. Unleash your InnerGrind.
Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Marcus Peters raised his fist through the national anthem before Sunday's game against the San Diego Chargers at Arrowhead Stadium as players on the team interlocked their arms. Now, the Chiefs weren't alone in demonstration during the Star-Spangled Banner on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks also stood in interlocked arms. Their opponent in the game, the Miami Dolphins, well, they took another approach. Dolphins running back Arian Foster told ESPN that he planned to take a knee and raise his fist during the national anthem. Now, Foster and the Met said that the Dolphins players met Friday and agreed to make their own decision on how they handled Sunday's anthem. Now, Foster, along with teammates Kenny Stills, Michael Thomas, and Jelani Jenkins, took a knee Sunday, though it appeared Foster did not raise his fist as planned. Now, the Miami Dolphins said in a statement, quote, "We encourage all members of our organization to stand at attention during the national anthem out of respect and appreciation for the freedoms we are afforded as Americans. We also recognize that it is an individual's right to reflect during the anthem in different ways. We respect these liberties and appreciate the sacrifices that everyone has made for our country, especially on this day of remembrance." And that's where I kind of have an issue. It's September 11th. It's September 11th, and you're kneeling during the national anthem. Again, I agree with why they are doing it, for the injustices of African Americans. I am fine with the protest. I'm fine with wanting to get people talking and having conversations about this. I'm fine with that. I do not have a problem with that. But is there not another way, another productive way? No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. Is there not another productive way to get this done? It's September 11th, and you're kneeling. A lot of people can take that as disrespect. And I get it, and I loved what Kenny Stills, he released a statement, again, you can see on Twitter, at Short Sports Show, in his entire statement, and he kneeled, but he still had his hand over his heart. I respected that. But on September 11th, I feel that is not the time to kneel during the national anthem, given what happened. There are other ways to go about this. And the thing is, what really gets to me is if they are truly wanting to change communities and better the communities and create awareness, why not go through it with other organizations and actually being inside those communities? That's where that's my question. That's what I want to know. I get it. It's the week 1 of NFL. It's, basically prime time. And it's a great way to use their platform to get people talking. And it's working. And I respect that. I truly do. But my problem is I feel that there are other ways, other productive ways to get the same message across through your same platform, yet it's not happening. I just want to know why they are not in those communities, why they are not working with other thousands of organizations that are wanting the same thing, and yet they're not working together. Now, Marcus Peters, he said Friday he supported Kaepernick and was behind him, quote, 100%. It's not about me. Don't talk about it being about that. I come from a majority black community in Oakland, California. I grew up around my people a lot. The struggle I see, I've got family members that are still in the struggle, end quote. Okay. What are you doing in that community? Taking a knee isn't helping that community in any way. Yes, talking about it, it gets people talking. Awesome. But talk is talk. Talk is talk. I could say I want cleaner air, right? Better energy, renewable resources, right? I could go on and on talking about that. But it's just talk. Not making any change. So, where is the actual going through plan here? What is the plan? To continue to take a knee and in hopes that changes things? I can tell you right now, taking a knee, raising the fist, whether you have your hand over your heart or not, it's not going to make a change. Actually going through with those communities, helping in any way they can. I'm not saying that they don't already. Some of them already do in the off season. And again, during the season, it's obviously tough to do. Their time is consumed. But working with other organizations, promoting other organizations that are wanting to do the same thing is actually taking action and not just talking. They get paid a couple $1,000s to promote detox water on Instagram. Yet they can't promote an organization that will make a change. You see what I'm getting at here? That's the problem I have. That's my issue. That's all. Now, Denver Broncos linebacker Brandon Marshall, he's kind of been a victim. He lost Air Academy Federal Credit Union. They parted ways with him shortly after Thursday's game after he kneeled. And also CenturyLink, Cable's communication company. They ended their agreement with him. But I like what he said. He said, quote, I just lost another endorsement, but it's not going to make me lose any sleep. I understand there will be things that come up, criticism and support, but I have to do what I think is right. End quote. I like that. And we talked to Michael Arakpo about this along with some other hot takes. Go ahead and check it out here. Now we have Michael Arakpo back on the show. What's going on, Michael? Thanks for joining.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, since the last time we spoke, business has been booming for you in InnerGrind. How's the process been?
Man, it's been good. It's been a good process, good transition. We finally got our facility, sports and fitness facility opened up in Houston, Texas. So, this has been going good.
Now, like you said, you're in the Houston area and college football wise, you've been seeing the Houston Cougars, but let me ask you this. Do you see them in the college football playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I think that OU win was good enough to where if those boys, man, if they handle their business from now to the end of the season, I think they should have a shot at getting invited into the Final Four.
And also, your Texas State Bobcats, they made some noise week 1, and now they go on the road to Arkansas. How you feeling about them?
Man, that win, that was a good win. I think when you look at who Ohio's played since then, they had a big win against Kansas. That's a Big 12 team. So, it kind of gave us a good gauge of where Texas State is at. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how we stack up against that SEC opponent.
And in the NFL, there's been some controversy with San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick for sitting and kneeling during the national anthem. Now, since I've said I agreed with the reason why he's doing it, but I don't really agree with how he's going about it. What is your stance on that? And as well as other players kneeling, raising fists, and the Seattle Seahawks, interlocking their arms during the national anthem?
Yeah, my stance is, it's been the same. As an athlete, we have a platform. We have a platform to be able to express our views about certain issues in society. So I agree with what he's standing for. Me personally, again, him taking a knee now is better. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm glad he talked with those guys, and they came to a conclusion that he can take a knee. But at the end of the day, he's bringing conversation to the table. So, you have to look at not exactly what he's doing, but what he's representing. A lot of people is turning a blind eye to the meaning of what he's doing it for. So when you look at, what he's doing it for, and just, the movement the conversation he's trying to bring, you really have to respect him for his views.
Definitely. And really, we're going to be doing some predictions, and also we're going to talk back with you on InnerGrind. First, I want to go through some predictions with you. So college football-wise, I'm just going to throw them out there, and just however you feel who's going to win this game. First off, we'll start with number 2 Florida State taking on number 10 Louisville.
I knew that one was going to come up. That is going to be a tough game. I love that Louisville quarterback. I just don't see how you can root against the guy. I'm going with Louisville taking the upset.
Nice. Then we got Alabama against Ole Miss.
Going with Alabama.
Going with Alabama. All right. And this one, a potential trap game. Number 17, Texas A&M taking on Auburn. Who you got there?
I'm going with A&M.
A&M.
On that game.
Awesome.
Yep.
And, of course, I have to let you pick Texas State against Arkansas. You see an upset?
I got to ride. I ride with my alma mater all the time. We ride in Texas State every single game. So
nice.
I'm riding with Texas State. I'm going to be one of the few people that's going to be like, I picked Texas State to win. So, yeah. What is the spread on that game?
I don't think it's come out just yet.
It's come out. Okay, it's probably going to come out a little later.
Yeah. But one thing that's got me thinking right now. Now, the following week, next week, Texas State hosts the Houston Cougars. Will you be back in San Marcos for that game?
I will. I'll be back. I'll be there for that game.
Awesome. Finally, the last college football pick, number 3 Ohio State taking on number 14 Oklahoma.
That game, I'm picking Ohio State to beat OU, and by beating them, they're probably going to beat them by at least 10 points. I have Ohio State in the national championship game this year.
Wow, I like it. So, let's go ahead and talk about InnerGrind. Now, again, a lot of big things have been happening since you've opened your new facility, your own facility in Houston. Just talk about that, how it's been, and also just what are some of the things that's new that's happening.
Man, it's been great. I wouldn't. It's crazy when you see a vision and you're finally able to put that vision together and just watch the business grow. July we hit. July was our first month, and then the next month, August, we topped our sales in August, and in September we beat. And then now, in September we're on pace to double what we did last month. So it's just, you know, it's crazy just watching the business growing. There's big things happening at InnerGrind. There's big things happening here. Another thing that we're doing, I know right now we're partnering up with some schools nearby here where InnerGrind will be actually running their athletics. Trent International School will be running their athletics, and we're partnering up with another school. So got some big things happening at InnerGrind, definitely.
That's awesome. And I look forward to making a trip back up to Houston, hopefully later this fall, to come back and see you in the facility, because I've been seeing it on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, and it's just been exciting to see it grow.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to having you in, having you come in.
All right. Michael, thanks for coming on the show, and I look forward to seeing you then.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, God, for having me.
Chargers coach Mike McCoy confirmed that wide receiver Keenan Allen suffered a torn ACL in his right knee and is done for the year. He placed him on injured reserve and used that spot to activate rookie defensive end Joey Bosa from the exempt list. This sucks. I'm a Chargers fan, and Keenan Allen's our bright spot on offense, of course, alongside Phillip Rivers. We don't have any wide receivers. You want to know what the wide receivers look like on the San Diego Chargers? Check this out. Travis Benjamin, a washed-up wide receiver. Dontrell Inman, who showed flashes but is very, very inconsistent. And Tyrell Williams. I couldn't tell you a thing about that guy. That's it. They've got to replace a receiver that was about to go off last season before having a lacerated kidney and forced him to miss 8 games in much of the season. That's half the season right there. And Keenan Allen was going off against the Kansas City Chiefs. Hint why the San Diego Chargers had a 21-3 lead before losing the game 27-33 in overtime. The offense just died right when he was hurt, and they saw he was carted off the field, and that was it. Now, the Chargers, they could bring in James Jones, who they had during the last week or two preseason, but apparently he was failing to get the playbook. He couldn't understand it. He couldn't get it down. So that's why they cut him. He could come back, and honestly, he looked pretty good in his action that was there. It sucks for Keenan Allen. Just 24 years old. And if you don't know his story, he was a top receiver at the University of California in Berkeley. And his last year, that season, he tore his ACL, which dropped him from being a first-round draft pick to, I believe, the Chargers selected him in the 3rd round. And, of course, his rookie year, he shows out. One of the top wide receivers in the league that year. And then injuries started happening. He's sadly become injury prone. He's been injury prone since college. I don't know about his high school career. I didn't look that far back. It sucks because this guy is very talented, a guy that does not get in trouble, a guy that's very positive in the locker room, according to sources. And things like this happen, and it just sucks. I mean, you don't wish it upon anybody, but I mean, there's some players that just don't care. Hint Johnny Manziel and a few other players. Yeah, you got guys that care about their teammates, that care about this game, that make an impact on and off the field, and crap like this happens. It sucks. It truly does. Another injury that occurred over the weekend is Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin III, Cleveland Browns quarterback, has a fractured bone in his left shoulder and will miss at least the next 8 games for the Cleveland Browns. And he was placed on injured reserve, and he's designated as if he is designated as the team's player to return. He could return to practice in 6 weeks, but again, he will have to miss a minimum of 8 games. Now, my question is RG3's career over? At you, coaches? Coach Queenie, Coach Davis, here's your shout out, guys, said, yeah, his career's over with. His career's over with. I agree. I think it's done. I believe his season's over with. Now, though surgery is not immediately required on the fractured choroid, bone, and the team said that Griffin's shoulder will be reevaluated for 3 to 4 weeks And the earliest he could return again is not until November 10th at the Baltimore Ravens. So now they got Josh McCown, the 37-year-old. A good thing they kept him, didn't trade him to the Dallas Cowboys, because if so, they were going to have to go with Cody Kessler or Kevin Hogan. Now, those guys were pretty solid in college, but preseason, it was not too good for them. So McCown, he's got to get ready. He's got to take on the Baltimore Ravens next week. Now, he played them twice last season and did pretty well. 457 yards and an overtime win in Baltimore. And then he was also completing 21 of 28 before breaking his collarbone in the infamous kick 6 game in Cleveland. Remember how that went Monday Night Football? Cleveland about to win the game and yeah, or something like that. So Griffin, it sucks for him too. It really sucks because, there's mixed reports. Obviously the Browns staff, they feel upset because he worked so hard to get back, and becoming a starter. But also there are a few sources, of course, unnamed sources in the organization that said that they think that there wasn't a true quarterback competition in the offseason. They think that it was just strictly given to RG3. And they also thought that, they said, quote, Josh McCown would have won had there been a real quarterback competition. So now Josh McCown, he's back on the field. He's got to show that, hey, this was supposed to be my team. And Griffin, and I know this video is about him, but I just don't see him coming back. I mean, the injury proneness that he now has, and honestly, that wasn't that great against Philadelphia. He wasn't, Philadelphia's defense isn't a lockdown defense. It's not going to be a top 15 defense in the league, and failed to put, 10 points on the board. So I think his career's over with. What do you think? Do you think RG3's career is over with? Do you think it's done? Or do you think the Browns give him another chance next year? I mean, most likely, I'm thinking they suck for Kaiser or they suck for Watson. I mean, I think the season's over with, man. Season's over with strictly right after week 1. It is completely over with. I'm sorry, Browns fans. I'm sorry. The New Orleans Saints cut CJ Spiller. This is a kind of a problem. Now, he signed a 4-year, $16 million deal with the Saints last year, but they wound up paying him $9 million for a total of 13 games played. The Saints now have more than $40 million in dead money, counting against the salary cap. By far, that is the most in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns, who have a pretty bad organization, only have 12 players on the team that were on the team last season or something like that. They're second with $28.1 million. Saints have nearly double that in dead money. That number includes their other big free agent signing in 2015, cornerback Brandon Browner, among several others. Now Spiller, he will count $4.5 million against this year's cap, then another $2.5 million next year. Spiller also said that he's going to, quote, wait for the right opportunity, end quote. He was inactive week 1, a quote, a healthy scratch, with Saints head coach Sean Payton explaining that it was a game plan decision to go with veteran runner / receiver Travarius Cadet ahead of him. That's pretty bad. And they said that they said it was a healthy scratch, but then a league source confirmed that it wasn't health related. Yeah, who knows? But the thing is, when you have Travarius Cadet starting above you, that's a sign that, hey, things aren't looking too good. Who's Travarius Cadet? I've never heard of him. A veteran runner / receiver. I've never heard of this guy. That's bad. That's bad. CJ Spiller, 29 years old as well. Just about up there. Jacksonville Jaguars running back Chris Ivory was released from local hospital Tuesday. And the team says his status Sunday for the away game against the San Diego Chargers remains uncertain. Ivory has been hospitalized since Sunday morning for what the team said was a general medical condition and later described as a non-football injury. He's been limited in practice last week with a calf injury, but the reason for his hospitalization was unrelated. So yeah, he apparently is doing well. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has a sprained ankle, but head coach Pete Carroll says he expects Wilson to play in week 2 against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, they thought about re-signing Javarius Jackson, but who knows? And because the only backup they have is Trevon Boykin, undrafted rookie out of TCU, and he looked pretty well in preseason. Honestly, he really did. But obviously, I don't know if he's really ready just yet to take those starting ranks right now. Now, Ndamukong Suh, who's been notorious to be dirty, but this play, if you actually watch it, it was not intentional. He stepped on Russell Wilson's right ankle, and it just twisted a little bit. Actually, a lot. So it went all the way straight to the ground. But Carroll said Monday, quote, "He's been walking around. You can hardly tell anything's wrong with him. We'll keep him in practice during the week to make sure we can take care of him, but he's planning on playing. There's no question in his mind he's playing. So I'm going to go along with it until I can't," end quote. They also added Jake Heaps to the practice squad. So we'll recap some games. Actually, I had 4, but we're getting up there in time, so I'm really going to cut it. I guess we'll do all 4, but we'll just make it really quick. The Panthers-Broncos game, very shocking. Trevor Siemian did a really good job, something that I really didn't think he would. It was great to see Kelvin Benjamin back. He had 6 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Cam is all right. The Broncos defense is definitely still there. I had my doubts, but no, they might be number 1 again. Cam looked okay, 194 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, that game, it showed a lot of hope, and that the work that the Jacksonville Jaguars staff and team has put in is showing. It's paying off. Because they were right there in that game. They were right there. 27-23 was the final score. Rodgers threw for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns and had 1 rushing. Blake Bortles did as much as he could to get the team a W. 320 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. I mean, the Jags are really close to being a serious contender. I mean, there's no more hype about them. It's legitimately there for them. The O-line still needs some work for them. I think they need a little bit more depth on the defensive side, but that's going to come in time. That's definitely going to come in time with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So be on the lookout. The Jags might be making some noise this season in the AFC South because it's not really strong. The Colts are shockingly, looks like they're pretty bad. I mean, you shouldn't have lost to a Lions team that doesn't have Calvin Johnson or a top running back. Theo Reddick ran all over them. That's not good. And also the Texans, I still have questions about them. I do. I mean, Jay Cutler kind of, in that first half, he was lighting up that Texans defense that's given so much praise. So, we'll have to see. And obviously the Titans blowing that game against the Vikings. I mean, Jags, this is the time to do it. Time to do it. San Diego Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, my beloved San Diego Chokers. Yeah. 21-3 lead changes very quickly, and the Chargers were the first to find that out. Not only did, of course, we talked about this, not only did they lose the game to a division rival that they were dominating, the Bolts also lost their top receiving threat in Keenan Allen for the season with the torn ACL. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, man. And then they get the Jacksonville Jaguars next week, so not looking too good. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants. What a game. What a game this was. So check this out. This one we're going to spend a little time on. Ouch, really. I really thought, the Chargers had a bad game. A few years ago, the Cowboys, all they heard was the phrase of, it wasn't a catch. And now this year, it looks like they're going to be hearing, get out of bounds. That's going to be the famous phrase. I was talking to a coach at the high school, and it hit me. And it hit me right when we were talking. How we could be talking about a much bigger story. A story that would have dominated the headlines for all of this week. And that story is, if you truly think about it, and stick with me here. If the Cowboys would have won, right? Whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, most likely the field goal. We would be talking about how Dak Prescott is for real after leading his first game-winning drive. He almost did. He almost did. You know what we would be saying? Prescott was 25-45, 227 yards, no touchdowns or picks. Wasn't the prettiest game, but he gave his team a chance. And it was a much better offensive look than Matt Castle, Brandon Whedon, and all the other trash quarterbacks that the Cowboys played last season. So it's definitely there. And honestly, they should have won this game. They should have won this game. Giants defense is bad too. That was not shocking, but it was wow. It was, I don't know how to really phrase it, but Dak Prescott had it. The Cowboys had it. And just think about it. You know, right now we're just talking about how get out of bounds. We're making fun of Terrence Williams, all the other good stuff. But this would have been a dominating headline across every media platform had Dak Prescott led the Cowboys on a game-winning drive and won it. Think about it. Now, there is something that does concern me about Dak Prescott, and maybe it's his first game, right? And I truly believe that it's Dak Prescott's job. I don't think Romo steps on the field ever again for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't. That's my honest opinion. I don't believe. I think it's just like the Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation. Now, I'm not comparing Prescott to Brady. I'm not saying he's going to be great as it. I'm not doing that at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying the situation of where Drew Bledsoe was a starter, was the foreseeable starter, gets injured, gets rocked by the New York Jets. He gets hurt. Brady steps in. Bledsoe never touches the field ever again. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Romo gets hurt. Dak takes over. Romo never touches the field. But a stat that concerns me about Dak Prescott, he was 2 for 10 on throws over 15 yards. Now, watching the game, I didn't realize that. And they didn't say it during the game. I did not think about it, about his throws. And, I mean, obviously they show you his completions and stuff, and 25-45 right at 50%. It's solid. It's okay for his first time. I think they threw a little bit more than they probably should have. The offensive line for the first time just really got beat. Cowboys offensive line just got beat by a non-dominating Giants D-line. I mean, they just got pushed around. So, but that concerns me that he was 2 for 10 on throws over 15 plus yards. I mean, you can't again, the Giants defense is nowhere near a Seahawks or Carolina Panthers defense or even Arizona Cardinals defense. So it's a little concerning, but maybe I'm just overreacting right now. It's his first game. Big game. Division game. A lot of hype on him. A lot of pressure. Not trying to create excuses, but, you know, if it continues a week or two in, that's a little concerning there. It's a little concerning. Something that really pissed me off, though, was Jason Witten. Now, I've never been a fan of Jason Witten, so maybe I'm being a little biased here, but if you watch the game, if you watched it, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if he doesn't care about the team unless Romo's the starting quarterback, because I know him and Romo have a little bit of butt love or whatever, but he would not lay out for any passes that Dak Prescott threw. And most importantly, he would not even attempt a block for Ezekiel Elliott. It was ridiculous. I'm not even a Cowboys fan, and I was screaming at the TV at Jason Witten. I was with my family, and I was so upset that, I mean, they were upset with what was happening, but they weren't even upset at Jason Witten. I'm over here watching Jason Witten throw half a block, not even, for Ezekiel Elliott, and he would just, you know, get pushed a little bit, and he'll walk 2 yards, and he'll just get ready for the next play. And I'm thinking, what is up with this? I've never seen Jason Witten play like this. I'm not saying he's the greatest blocker, but golly, I believe I could have done a better job, and I'm a $160. He was terrible. Was absolutely terrible. It was so frustrating because it was like, damn, might as well get a kicker out there to block. It was very frustrating. It was very frustrating to watch that. But yeah, that's my Giants. Sterling Shepard again. He's still he did a really good job. Again, he's still my prediction of Rookie of the Year. I'm going to keep it that way. Odell did a pretty good job. Cowboys defense, the DBs kind of worry me. And, you know, it's funny. I saw a tweet that said, and it wasn't a meme. It was just some random high school football player that tweeted. He said, or maybe it was a high school coach. He tweeted, I want to try to get this correct, but he said something along the lines of, and he was talking about his DBs. When you start getting burnt, the best way to get out of it is just to start pulling up for that hammy, right? Acting like you have a hamstring issue. And that's exactly what Orlando Scandrick did. After he got burnt, and you watch the replay of it, whether it was slow-mo or it was real time, it didn't look like a hamstring was pulled there. And other than he just looked like he got burnt by Odell. And right after that, pulls up for that hammy and walks out. I don't know. The Cowboys DBs are a little ridiculous. The last game, the Patriots and the Cardinals. Now, if you ever wanted to watch a game where the talent level was about the same, or maybe even one team is just a little bit better, but loses because they were out-coached, then this was the game to watch, because Bruce Arians and the Arizona Cardinals staff should feel absolutely ashamed and embarrassed by about the team's performance, about their performance. They were simply out-coached. I mean, and granted, it's Bill Belichick, but man, it was bad. It was a sloppy game. This shouldn't have been a close game. This should have been an Arizona Cardinals 34-10, 34-17 victory. A dominating performance. Now, I know they lost some guys on defense, especially at DBs. They've had some bad injury luck, but this shouldn't have been close. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. You're telling me a Jimmy Garoppolo led team is better than you? No, not taking it. Not taking that bet any time of the day that you're telling me that a Jimmy Garoppolo led team is better than the Arizona Cardinals. No, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. But they were. And that's bad. Maybe Carson Palmer was too worried about how Tom Brady got caught cheating and telling him that he needs to pay, you do the crime, you pay the time, whatever. Maybe he was too focused on that, too worried about that, than actually preparing for this game, because he was outplayed and performed terribly. Larry Fitzgerald did all he could, and God bless Larry Fitzgerald. I feel so bad for him. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 264 yards and a touchdown. This Cardinals team, a Patriots team, it's still a really good team. Patriots are still really good, even without Tom Brady. But this Cardinals team should have ripped the Pats apart. It should have not. It should not have been close at all. At all. Imagine what Tom Brady would have done had he played this game. Imagine what he would have done to these Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals team, I think it worries me a little bit, but I still see them as a contender. This was a Super Bowl preview just without Jimmy Garoppolo, but this worries me. Much congratulations to the New England Patriots. Not trying to take anything away from you, but this Arizona Cardinals team, on paper, is a much more talented and better team than you. And for the Patriots, you should feel good about it because you dominated them. You beat them. Now, of course, the Arizona Cardinals missed a field goal, 50-yarder, could have won this game. I still would have said the same things I'm saying right now had the Cardinals got the field goal. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was absolutely terrible. So Cardinals, good job blowing the game. Good job. All right, this is it. Prediction time, and then we are wrapping up the show. Again, follow me on Twitter at Short Sports Show. Become a fan on Facebook, The Short Sports Show, and I appreciate everybody's support. Jets versus the Bills. Thursday Night Football. Both teams 0-1. Jets drop a game to the Cincinnati Bengals in a game they could have won. Bills, on the other hand, play terribly against the Baltimore Ravens. Buffalo, though, is a 3-point favorite. This game is on CBS at 7:25 p.m. Central Time. I am taking the Jets. I'm taking the Jets here. Bills losing some guys, injuries, suspensions. I'm going to take the Jets here. On Sunday, we have the Bengals taking on the Steelers. Steelers are a 3.5-point favorite. This game's, of course, at 12 p.m. Central Time on CBS. I'm going to go ahead and I want to take the Bengals. I really do. Obviously, I like Andy Dalton, AJ Green. But the way the Bengals played defensively worries me, and the way the Steelers played is pretty damn dominant in the second half. I'm taking the Steelers here. D'Angelo Williams, much respect to him. Still going out there and dominating as if he was 22 years old. Titans and the Lions, a very boring matchup. Detroit is a 5-point favorite, and I'm taking the Lions here. I'm taking the Lions here. I never thought I would, but when they beat the Colts the way they did, and which doesn't mean the Lions don't have questions. They definitely have a lot of questions. But the Titans, you lose to the Minnesota Vikings, who just lost their starting quarterback and are playing Shaun Hill, and you get beat. And it wasn't just a bad beat. I mean, it was terrible. It was bad. You lose like that? Nah. Your defense needs a whole lot of work. Can you go on the road? No. Taking Detroit here all the way. Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore is a 6-point favorite on CBS. Taking the Ravens here. Cowboys taking on Washington. Washington, surprisingly, is a 3.5-point favorite. This game's on Fox. I'm taking the Cowboys here. And the Cowboys really got to win this game. You already lost the divisional game against the New York Giants. You can't go 0-2, not only to start the season off for the season record, but as a divisional record, not right now. Not right now. You can't do it. But I do believe the Cowboys will win this game. I think they're a much better team than Washington. Washington, it was weird. I was honestly about to tweet in the first half that Washington's defense looked really good. Looked really, really good. The D-line, most importantly. Josh Norman played okay, pretty solid. But then the second half just got beat. I think the Cowboys will win this game. Then you have the Saints against the Giants. I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants here because the Saints defense is absolutely garbage. Giants a 5-point favorite on Fox, taking the Giants. 49ers against the Panthers. Now again, the 49ers had a dominant game against the Los Angeles Rams. And that's all great and all. And maybe the Rams are just really bad. No, they are. 49ers still aren't good. I had them finishing last in the NFC East, but honestly now, after that game, they might just finish third. Big improvement. Carolina's a 14-point favorite. This game is on Fox. I am taking the Panthers here. Panthers know they got to win this game, and they will. The Dolphins taking on the Patriots. Patriots a 4.5-point favorite on CBS, taking the Patriots. Chiefs and the Texans. Houston is a 1.5-point favorite on CBS. I'm going to take the Chiefs. They responded back pretty well against the Chargers. Obviously, that was more on the Chargers, falling. Texans, after this game, if they beat the Texans, if they beat the Chiefs, then I'll start believing more in the Texans. I don't know, a lot of hype against the Texans, and it's like they have it every year, and they never fulfill it. It's a playoff match, playing it over again from last season where the Chiefs just absolutely dominated Texans. I think the Chiefs also had a wake-up call knowing that, hey, we can't just go into the season and think we're good. Chadar West, the running back for the Chiefs, did a really good job. Texans, a little concerning in the first half against the Bears. When Jay Cutler lights you up, that's an issue. They fixed it in the second half, but I think that was more on the Bears' offensive line being just that bad. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. Close game, field goal. Seahawks taking on the Rams. Seahawks surprisingly just a 3.5-point favorite at 3:05 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Taking the Rams here in a big win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Cardinals. Cardinals are a 7-point favorite on Fox. I'm actually going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am. Jameis Winston had one heck of a game, and he might be on a way to a record-breaking season. I think he does a really good job. He did a great job against Falcons last week and getting the victory. I'm taking the Buccaneers here. Jacksonville taking on San Diego Chargers. Shockingly, the Chargers are a 3-point favorite. This game's at 3:25 p.m. Central Time on CBS. I'm taking the Jags. Taking the Jags here all the way. Falcons and the Raiders. Oakland is a 5.5-point favorite on CBS. Taking the Raiders here. Colts and the Broncos. Denver's only a 6-point favorite. I'm taking Denver on CBS. Taking Denver. Sunday Night Football, we have the Packers taking on the Vikings. Green Bay, a 2-point favorite, 7:30 p.m. Central Time on NBC. And I'm taking the Packers. I think Packers get this another dominating victory. Or not another dominating victory, but a dominating victory. I think they actually do what the Titans were supposed to do. and exploit the Vikings. I think the Packers get the W here. And finally, Monday Night Football, you have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Chicago Bears. This is where it's shocking. The Bears are a 3-point favorite. How? I do not know. It's 7:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Taking the Eagles here, I think it's a dominating victory. Coach Miller, there's your shout out. And there, I'm giving love to the Eagles. He thinks I hate the Eagles. He thinks I trashed them because I predicted them to be last. I'm not saying, I mean, when you finish last in the division, usually means you're bad. But Giants are pretty good. Cowboys should be good. Washington, maybe you switch with Washington. I don't see how the Bears are a 3-point favorite at all. I don't even see them being a favorite in this game. I think the Eagles, I know the Bears are hosting it, so I think when the line's really even, the home team gets an automatic 3-point bump. So I think that's why the Bears are a 3-point favorite. I think that's what I remember hearing about, favorites and stuff like that. So I think that's why I'm taking the Eagles here. I think they win 24-17, something like that. Eagles. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, whether you're listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker.com, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, wherever it might be. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, God first, God bless, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. I'm out. Peace.